you to what you thought you knew. Thought you found the dark side. Well, let me shed a little light. Your arrogance is vile. Transparent, you can't hide. You've run out of time. Cornering love, warning before the light. Judging what you think you see. Watching you, watching me. Blinded in your mind. I'm not who you're making me. You're invited to invade. Pull the ring on your grenade. See how far you get. See how fast you fade out. Let's see how fast you fade out.
You have no idea how much I enjoy that intro. How's it going, listeners? Oh, September's almost over. And I can't wait for October, because in case you missed it, and I figured I might as well remind you all if you did, the announcement from my last episode is starting October for the rest of this year. I'm doing another point of view Q&A. So if you wanted to get to know the person behind the episodes, or any other members of the cast a little better, and I know some of you do because of some of the questions I've already received so far, then you might want to submit a question. Feel free to let me know in the comments below, or send me a private message on YouTube. You could also send me one through the show's Facebook page or my own Facebook page, Real Gerald Lord. Check it out. But yeah, ask us anything. And by us, I'm referring to myself and every other individual who has appeared on the show. You can also ask one to the sorcerer, But I can only speak for myself when I say this. If you ask it, I will answer, guaranteed. But alas, it is still September, and a very wonderful month in its own right. So I wanted to treat you all with another installment of Another Point of View. And I'm going to do it with a blast from the past because today we are conversing about money. I can almost guarantee that no one listening right now remembers this segment because I've only done this specific segment, to my knowledge, once in the past. I'm actually willing to bet money no one remembers the first and only episode that I previously did this segment. Matter of fact, I'm going to do a fun challenge right now. Here it is. All listeners have until 3 days from the moment this video has been posted on YouTube to give me the exact title of the first episode that this segment was done. I'll only count it if you post your answer in the comment section of this video, and yeah, you can post a link to the episode in the comment section instead. If you get it right and you're the first one to do it, you will win a free Nintendo Switch or Xbox One or PlayStation 4. Unless, a disclaimer, if you live in a country or area where it's not realistically feasible for the show to send you one, or you don't want one, in which case, if that is the case, I'll just send you the monetary equivalent of one of those video game systems in an e-gift card or something. If anyone beats the challenge, that is, which none of you will, we'll figure out something if you do and you don't want the video game system. But yeah, challenge is set. 3 days from the moment this is posted. Let's see who gets it. Anyways, challenge aside, back to the actual segment. The topic of this specific segment is actually one I find very interesting. And of course, what better nation to discuss when conversing about money than the wealthiest nation on the planet, the United States of America. Yes, the good old US of A. But more specifically, I want to discuss the USA's military spending and military budget. Now, bear in mind, I have discussed in the past my thoughts on the US government's national debt in a prior episode this season. So this is actually in a very similar vein to that discussion. But it's one thing to talk about the entire national debt situation and its history throughout the nation's lifespan, since its founding, versus one particular budget item. So with that said, what does the United States spend on its military? Well, the United States spends approximately $622 billion on defense and war. Military spending is actually the third largest budget item of US federal spending. The only two budget items that cost more money annually are Medicare/Medicaid and Social Security. And if you were to put it in a pie chart, military spending accounts for roughly 15% of all US federal spending. Surprisingly, most Americans do not know this fact. A lot of Americans actually believe military spending accounts for nearly half of all federal spending. And they will commonly cite this pie chart when they make that claim, which entails in the chart the divisions of what is referred to as U.S. discretionary spending. Basically, U.S. discretionary spending is everything but Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid spending. The reason it's not part of discretionary spending is because these are mandatory budget items. And because of prior bills passed by Congress under what are called authorization laws, Congress can only reduce the funding of these mandatory programs by changing the authorization laws itself. And doing so requires a 60 majority vote in the Senate. And that's just pretty much impossible to achieve. So what percentage of the U.S. spending budget does discretionary spending entail? It's roughly 1/3 of the overall budget. Or, to put it in percent, it's 33%, which is how you get the 15% figure I cited. Because 15% is a little bit less than half of a third. It's basic math. Now, of course, as the United States Constitution lays out, Congress and the legislative branch is the one given the authority to decide how the U.S. government allocates its tax revenues. But believe it or not, the process for determining what the discretionary spending budget will be actually starts with the U.S. president proposing their own plan to Congress on how to allocate the funds. Now, naturally, Congress can collectively tell the president and the plan the president provides them that, they could shove it with their budget suggestion. But considering that the president and the executive branch is responsible for enforcing the laws passed by Congress, normally Congress does concessions with the president regarding how it allocates the discretionary budget. So the U.S. president can actually have a fair amount of influence over the discretionary budget. So yeah, in a way, if the president really wanted to, they could actually propose a severe reduction to U.S. military spending and force Congress's hand on the matter. But at this point, some of you are probably thinking, 15% of the U.S. total federal spending budget doesn't seem like a lot. Make no mistake about it, even though the often cited nearly 50% pie chart is wrongly used to overly exaggerate how much the U.S. spends on its military, that doesn't mean the U.S. doesn't overspend on its military. As of May of this year, the United States spends more on its military than the next 7 countries combined. Look at that damn chart. Even with all 7 of them combined, they're still short $32 billion to break even with the United States. And let's not even get started on the fact that a majority of those countries are on good terms or considered allies with the United States. Legitimately, let's break this down. You have the United Kingdom and France, which are allied to the United States through the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, also known as NATO. So it's not likely they're going to go to war with each other in the foreseeable future. Japan has been an ally of the United States since the end of World War II, and the United States actually has a mutual defense treaty with Japan. India, well, that one's a bit less cut and dry. I mean, India actually had a better relationship with the Soviet Union during the Cold War than it did with the United States. And in large part, that was because the United States, under the administration of Richard Nixon, sided with Pakistan when India went to war against them in 1971. But since the end of the Cold War, India has actually worked to have good relations with the United States. And besides, what would be the catalyst for the United States going to war with India? You know, like what? Americans want cheaper tech support? I just don't see it happening. And don't even get me started on Saudi Arabia. The Saudi royal family has been so deep in bed with every US presidential administration since the mid 20th century that it might as well be the First Lady. Saudi Arabia has more influence over US policy-making decision than Melania Trump or any First Lady ever will. Which is ironic considering their whole, stance on women and stuff. But yeah, unless Saudi Arabia suddenly decided to stop trading oil with the United States of America, I don't see a reason for those two countries to go to war with each other. That just leaves Russia and China, both of which could actually be considered rivals to the United States. Not necessarily enemies, though. I mean, China pretty much keeps to itself while trading with the United States. At most, it will engage with its weaker neighbors over some stupid dispute over islands or, parts of the ocean, if you can even claim that. And then you got Russia. Well, yeah, there's still probably some Cold War animosity left over there. I mean, their president is a former member of the KGB. But considering that both countries possess the world's two largest nuclear weapon stockpiles, I really don't think either nation is eager for a direct war with the other. So with that said, what are my thoughts on the United States' military spending budget? Like, it's too much. And it's just ridiculous. But what's worse is that continually spending the money on the military like this, it only really can be justified if the government puts the military to use, oftentimes with little to no real justification, because you're not going to need to go to war every time when you're spending that much. And look no further for proof of that than the current wars that the United States has been involved in since the 21st century started. I mean, there is no legitimate reason, aside from exploiting the vast mineral wealth located there in Afghanistan, for the United States to still be militarily involved there after 17 years. I mean, it's been what? 7 years since they got bin Laden? And the same can easily be said about maintaining a military presence in Iraq. At this point, it's only hurting relations more than helping them with that country. And as far as having forces in Syria goes, if your forces don't have a plan on the ground, there is no point in having your forces in the line of fire. Either decide you're going to take out Assad and eliminate the extremist factions, or get the hell out and let Assad do it himself alongside the Russians. And you also have several shadow wars going on in the continent of Africa that the United States is involved in. Not entirely sure what that's about, but the United States could probably do without those too. So yeah, plenty of places where the United States can cut military spending. Definitely thinking it should do it. Feel free to tell me your thoughts in the description. And on to the next segment. Let's talk internet. So, fair warning, this next story is it's graphic. And it's unfortunate. And I'm going to be saying some things that are definitely not suitable for children. So you've been warned. The story comes right out of the American state of Texas. It's such a simple story, and yet it's upsetting to read about this happening. Even more upsetting to see it in video. You'll understand soon enough what I mean. So this story takes place in a small town by the name of Abilene. I might not be pronouncing that town's name correctly. It doesn't matter for the story. So back in April of this year, a couple by the name of Kara Box and Aaron Howard move into their new home in the town. A few months pass by after they moved into the neighborhood, and at some point in late August, they throw out a twin mattress, and they place it in a dumpster located in the alley outside of their house. It's a dumpster. It's meant for large trash, and it can be used by them and their immediate neighbors who share the alley. Basically, the item has to be in the dumpster for the city to haul it away. But yeah, they threw out the mattress, put it in the dumpster. End of story, right? No, I could only wish that were the case. A few days later, on the morning of September 1st, Kara and Aaron find the mattress on their property. It's not in the dumpster. Someone took the time to take the mattress out of the dumpster and throw it back on their property, on their yard. Aaron, being an adult, gets the mattress and puts it back in the dumpster. And that's when his neighbor, John Miller, who Aaron has never interacted with before, comes into the alley, takes the mattress out of the dumpster, and throws it back onto Aaron's property. At this point, it's important to note a few key details. Aaron has his brother over, and his brother brought along his kids. So apparently Aaron's nieces and nephews are all in the backyard of Aaron's house when this happens. And they see this whole thing occur. It's also mildly important to note John is a 67-year-old man. So just keep that in mind as I tell you this story. So Aaron, he sees John Miller put the damn mattress on his property again. And naturally, he's upset by this. So he tells John, put that back in the dumpster. And John's response is to curse at Aaron and tell him he's not going to do it. At this point, according to Aaron's wife, Kara, John Miller pulls out a pistol from his shorts. Now, there's a very sizable part of me that doubts the encounter went from 0 to 60 that fast. In all fairness, I just don't see that being a natural progression of events. You have one guy who says, hey, put that mattress back in the dumpster. And then the other guy's like, fuck you, I ain't gonna do that. And then he randomly pulls out a gun. Maybe Aaron started talking shit. Maybe he cursed back at John. Maybe Aaron started moving towards John because he didn't like how John was talking to him. Or maybe John Miller thought he was fucking Clint Eastwood and he really did just pull out a gun on Aaron and his family for no reason because John, he thinks he's a tough guy. Either way, the fact remains, John has a gun, Aaron is not armed, so back to the story. Aaron is fucking livid that this old geezer pulled out a gun on him, his wife, his brother, and his nephews and nieces. And he's definitely not thinking straight, and is probably blinded by anger because rather than back down, he starts yelling at John. And honestly, that was a stupid idea for Aaron to do, but he was mad. And he shouted at John, "You pulled a gun in front of my kids over a mattress?" Then the situation gets worse. If that's even possible, but it gets worse. Michael Miller, John Miller's son, makes his way into the alley with a shotgun because he sees his dad is having an argument with the neighbor. Aaron is still unarmed, so this guy has no gun. And this is where Aaron's wife, Kara, she starts filming. Right from where the video starts, Aaron tells John Miller he's going to jail. John tells Aaron very clearly, you come any closer, I will kill you. Which is a very blatant threat, and he's clearly talking tough because he's got a gun. Aaron is outgunned for some fucking reason, very clearly in the video. He tells someone off camera to get him his BB gun. And for a whole minute or so after saying this, he blatantly tells John and Michael Miller, I'm going to kill you. He's upset, he's not thinking straight, and both the Millers and Aaron are just antagonizing each other to just do something to start shit. And what does Kara do? The wife, she says to the Millers, you aren't going to shoot my husband. Roughly 30 seconds later, Aaron vocally says, point it. He's presumably talking to his brother to aim the gun. shots are fired. You really can't tell who shoots first. Michael Miller shoots his shotgun. You can tell that he does that in the video. The Millers are left unscathed, and Aaron Howard, a 37-year-old man, has been fatally shot in the head and chest. That's the fucking story. A 37-year-old man is dead. His wife is now a widow. And a 67-year-old man and his 31-year-old son are in jail. And two families are left traumatized all over a fucking mattress. It sounds like fiction, but this story is real and it happens. And yeah, before one of you all say it in the comments section, yeah, Aaron Howard is a Darwin Award winner. That wasn't smart on his part. I completely agree. But you want to know what my thoughts are about this story? What the fuck is going on in the United States of America? What does it say about a society when grown adults who should fucking know better than this, they pull out their guns and shoot their neighbor over a mattress being thrown out? And I don't mean to bash on America. I know a large part of my listening audience is American, and you all know I respect the importance and significance of the Second Amendment. But this, it's just shameful. To some degree, this ties into the previous segment. I mean, what does it say about a country that prioritizes military spending so much more over things like education? To me, that says that your society believes in the principle that might makes right above all else. And that's where some people in America get this sort of mentality. Might makes right. I've got a gun, motherfucker. It doesn't matter what your argument is about. I'm right, you're wrong, and I'm going to get my way because I can shoot you right now and the argument is over. I win. That's the kind of fucked up mentality you see permeate a society that's on the decline and is losing its moral compass. It's absolutely disgraceful what I saw in that video. And if there is any message I would give to any American listener out there hearing me right now, it would be stop being so quick to resort to violence whenever you disagree with someone. Talk to each other. Listen to each other. If your societal discourse keeps going the way it's going, these sort of stories are going to become all too common. And I hope and pray to all that is good that this is a story that is not the future of the United States of America. You're better than this, America. Start acting like it. And that's it. That's the show. 2 segments. I'm done. Before I close it out, let me calm down. I wanted to take a moment to wish a very important person in my life a happy birthday. If she's listening to this when it comes out, she's listening to it the right on time. And I hope she has a great day. But if not, I hope her birthday was a very wonderful day for her. With that said, take care, listeners. Until next time. And one last thing. Do you really need 20 aircraft carriers? Is that really necessary?